Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben Runyan again. Today for AudioSkills.com. This week, a new video about workflow and shortcuts in Logic and Ableton, but really all digital audio workstations, including Pro Tools as a whole. Workflow and shortcuts are extremely important. One of the biggest mistakes I see with amateurs is sloppy projects. And you can think, well, what's wrong with having a sloppy project? Well, when you start to get into, let's say, a production like this one, where I have over 160 tracks, having a sloppy project is going to be really counterproductive to me quickly being able to locate and find what I need to get my project done. So on a track level, on a group level, on a section level, on a region level, on a labeling level, these are all super important things that we need to learn about Logic, Ableton, and Pro Tools. Now, most DAWs have these general features that you can use to help yourself out. So we're going to discuss some of those basic concepts. The first is groups. Grouping is extremely important, and how you group depends on how you want to define what goes in what group and what helps best for your brain to remember. For instance, so I have a song right here, and I'm going to play a little bit of it. It's a City Range song. Check me out on Spotify if you haven't already with that particular project that I do that I'm excited about. Bear with me if this crackles a little bit. It's a huge project file, as you can see, and I need a new computer. That I never wanna share with you. I said, hey, little dreamer, I'm a believer. I got a place for you. You can take all my money, that'd be funny. I got a place for you. And nobody knows where. So, as you can see, it freaked out. From here, I'm walking out in the night, and I know. So, this is a huge project. It's over 160 tracks. If I were to just have each track as an individual track, there's no way that I could keep track of everything in this. So, generally speaking, I work from bottom to top, meaning I work from the bass range to the high end, but not always. Generally speaking, I have my drum region towards the top here. Now, with Logic, I can put all these drum loops in here, but these are drum machine designer tracks. And one of the frustrating things about drum machine designer tracks is they're kind of their own group, so I can't really group them. What I can do, however, is hit Option C, which brings up the color range, and I just shift selected all these. And I'm going to do red. That's going to paint the regions red. Now, if I were to pull up the mixer, hitting X, I can also label these tracks red. So control click on them, or rather, I'm sorry, also Option C, hold down or click on the red key there, and boom, they're all red. And you know what, just for shits and giggles here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that the same for all of them, because to me, bass connotes red, right? Although hopefully not, because you don't want it to be peaking too much. But in my particular case, I feel like bass connotes red. So that for me, in addition to already having groups that I created, and you can see when I open this up, these are some of the different drum loops. All right? So you can see, now that I have these all in red, I can instantly know where I'm going. And let me go ahead and do these regions red as well. So Option C, red. So I know that when I look up here, this is my bass range or my drum range. Now, right below that is a close friend of the drum loops, which is the bass line. So you know what? Just for the sake of conversation, I'm going to do the same here as well. I'm going to paint the region red, and I'm going to paint the mixer track red as well. So bass line and drum loops are now in red. And as you can see, I have both MIDI and audio bass in here that I printed out for both reasons of timing and for reasons of organization. Now, going down from there, you can see I have the lead Vox group together. I have the chorus Vox. I have the falsetto Vox. All of these. Now, this falsetto Vox, these are kind of out here in left field. If I shift select these, I'm going to right click on them. I'm going to hit Create Track Stack or Command Option D. And this is a great thing about Mac
and Ableton, Logic, and Pro Tools is that when you do right-click on something or when you select it from the menu bar up here, it's going to tell you what, if any, shortcut it has. For instance, this would be Command U. This would be Shift U. This would be Option comma or Option apostrophe or Shift apostrophe. So whatever it is that you're concerned about, it's always going to show you what that shortcut is. Now, there are things that I use shortcuts for, and there are things that I don't necessarily use shortcuts for. It just depends. Sometimes it's easier to actually select it, and sometimes it's easier to use a shortcut. So, for instance, Command-Shift-D, that's going to create a track stack. Why it's the letter D, I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So Command-Shift-D, it's got a track stack. It's going to ask me which kind. Now, both Logic and Pro Tools have different types of folders, whereas Ableton just has something called a group. Although now in Ableton 10, you have groups in groups, so almost like a bus track for groups. But in Ableton here, a folder stack simply is like a volume for a selected group of items in a group. And a summing stack is like a group that also has channel inserts, so more like a traditional group if you want to treat, let's say, or compress the drums together or EQ the drums together. So in this case, it's vocals. I'm going to call it falsetto, chorus, end, because it's the falsetto at the end here when it finally comes in with all the major chorus. So yeah, as you can tell, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
I said, hey, little dreamer, I'm a believer. I said, hey, little dreamer, I'm a believer. I got a place for you. You can take all my mind.
So in any case, that's the last chorus, which brings me to my next point. And just before I do that, wrapping this up here. Anything in Logic with this icon means that it's a track stack or a group of some kind, and I can collapse or expand that as I need. And on the channel strip, it'll look similar. You'll have a collapse and expand part here. So right now I have my drum section, I have a reverb bus in the middle here, and then I have my Vox. So maybe I could color my Vox, falsetto Vox to the end here. I'll color that, I don't know, green. So I'm going to call those green. And then my FX, my fills, my other synth work, my guitar. Let's see, I could try to put the guitar with the other guitar here, the other synth work and effects down together. And boom. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give the guitar its own color. And I'm going to go Option C. We're going to give this light teal. And then the FX, the undercurrent, and the other synth work, which is just kind of some miscellaneous texture-related items. I'm just going to go ahead and give that, I don't know, some sort of other yellow, or maybe like an orange. So now I've got drums and bass. I've got lead Vox and chorus Vox and falsetto Vox. I've got guitar tracks, and I've got other. And just to make sure that I'm representing it on the regions as well, I can select all the regions that exist in here, Option C, and make sure that that orange, whatever that orange was, I think it was that one, is represented there as well. So, man, it looks like it was like a darker orangey red. So I don't really remember, but we're gonna settle on that for now. And then again, for the guitar work, we're gonna go with that teal. So I want to make sure I get everything in there. And there was like a lighter teal there, maybe even lighter than that. I'm going to roll with that for now. And then going back up to the vocals. I'm going to hit that with green. And then my lead Vox. Oh, yeah. Don't forget that. And then that's represented in red. So now, when I look at my project, this is a very, very easy project to make sense of. So going forward with that, under my global tracks up here, and this is present in Pro Tools as well, I have these markers. Again, markers is part of Pro Tools as well. And Ableton has somewhat of a marker section as well. I've labeled each and every individual part of the track. So intro, verse 1, chorus 1, verse 2, chorus 1. I've got kind of a bridge section here with some instrumental stuff going on, and then a final chorus in the end. So that's going to allow me to kind of keep tabs on what's happening in the track, and I can call up, the second verse or the first verse or the first chorus anytime I want.
I said, hey, little dreamer, I'm a believer.
So this will be the instrumental section. Woo.
I got a place for you.
Man, it is cooking today. So you get the idea there. Now, finally, there are in most DAWs some general sectional tools, and this is extremely important. In Logic, it's present under the toolbar here. So you have things like split by playhead, split by locators, repeat section, cut section, insert silence. These are all super important things that if you're working with a song that maybe you feel like you had an additional chorus that wasn't necessary, that you can kind of get it out of the way. Or let's say you're thinking, I don't really need chorus 2. I'm going to go straight into the breakdown. I think I might want to cut this section, but I don't know if I want to do it quite yet. Maybe that's something that I want to hold off onto, but I want to test and see if it's something that's going to work well. So what I can do is I can set up my cycle here, and I can right click on it and do swap left and right locators. And that's actually going to skip it over.
I said, hey.
Then if I decide that's something that I feel like I want to do, I can go ahead and hit cut section. Boom, it's pulled it all the way over, moved everything in time. So I'm going to Command Z that, because I don't actually want to do that. And undo, global. So, again, some people group their things from low to high, for instance, bassy ranges up to the higher ranges. Some people do it by frequency. Some people do it by type of instrument, etc. These are all very important steps that you're going to need to take to set yourself up for success when it comes to making great music. Now, I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to boot out of this real quick and open up Ableton real quick just to show you some of those similar features in Ableton, and then we're going to wrap up the video for the day. It's something that I hadn't done a lot until I started working more for a living when it came to music, and realized I really had to do that to keep myself sane if I wanted to make music with any sense of sanity. So I'm going to open up Ableton right now. I'm going to show you a few of those tricks in Ableton. Now, let's just say I pull in, I don't know, some clips, a beat, and some sort of, is there any sort of, what is this? Who knows? Some MIDI. And let me make sure my audio settings are going into my Steinberg. All right, that's input and output. All right, that's not very interesting. So why don't I pull up the splice loop real quick so I can get something to go along with this. Maybe a synth line of some kind. So let's see here, or even a vocal loop or some chords. Sure, let's see what this is. Okay, so let's say that this is my song. So if I right click on this, or rather, if I go to duplicate time, boom, under edit, there's delete time, duplicate time, insert time. So for instance, Command Shift D would duplicate that section. Command Shift I, let's see. Or is it Command I? Set time to insert. I can insert 2 bars here. So these are all small little shortcuts. Again, you can reference them from up here. Now, other important things. In Ableton, there is, if you hit set there, you can set a marker and call it intro. And say, for instance, I can click here, do set, call it chorus, whatever I need to call it. And I can call upon that simply by clicking on it, pressing spacebar, back to the chorus. So having a grasp of these features and having a grasp of coloring, so right click, etc., right click, etc., these are going to help you succeed. These tools are going to help you actually set yourself up for success so that when someone asks you to change a guitar part, change a vocal part in V2 in the chorus, and they're using that language, that you know what you're talking about, they know what they're talking about, and you're on the same page. Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton all have these features. Groups, group tracks, groups, sections, coloring, sectional tools, slice tools, and shortcuts. These are all very important to you succeeding as a producer. If you have any specific questions about how to get these done in, let's say, Pro Tools, Logic, or Ableton, shoot me some comments in the comment section below and let me know what you think. So stay tuned for another Pro Tools, Logic, and Ableton-related sessions coming up soon for AudioSkills. We're going to delve into everything, and we're going to answer all your questions. And stay tuned for more AudioSkills videos. I'm Ben Runyan. Check us out at audioskills.com. Check me out at benrunyan.com, BenRunyan.com. Thanks again for another great week at AudioSkills. Take care.